You are listening to Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, narrated by Litnarrate. Welcome to Litnarrate. Sit back and enjoy classic literature brought to life through narration. Here is something most people will never understand about the way the world actually works. Everything you see around you, every single material possession, every successful person, every thriving business, all of it started exactly the same way. It started as a thought in somebody's mind. Not as reality yet, but as an invisible impulse, a mental picture, an idea. Before that building existed, it was an idea. Before that company became successful, it was a thought. Before that person accumulated wealth, it was desire mixed with belief in their mind. And here is what will change your life when you truly understand it. You already possess the exact same mental tools. By the time you finish listening to this material, you will understand the 13 specific principles that every person who has accumulated great wealth has used. You will learn that riches do not come from hard work alone, they do not come from luck, and they absolutely do not come from chance. Riches come from a precise system of thinking and acting that anyone can master. Let's begin with something that will feel strange, but is absolutely true. Your thoughts are things. Not metaphorically, but literally. The thoughts you hold in your mind create vibrations. Those vibrations attract circumstances, people, and opportunities that match their frequency. This is not positive thinking nonsense. This is a law of nature that operates whether you understand it or not. The question is whether you will use this law deliberately or continue allowing it to work against you. Consider the story of Edwin Barnes. This man was poor. He had no connections. He had almost no money, but he had something more powerful. He had a burning desire. His desire was not vague. It was not a wish that he might work with Thomas Edison someday. His desire was specific. He wanted to become a business partner with Edison. That burning desire drove him to ride a freight train across the country because he could not afford regular transportation. He showed up at Edison's laboratory looking like a tramp, but Edison saw something in him. Edison saw the determination. He saw the certainty. He saw a man who had decided something and was not going to accept defeat. Edison gave Barnes an opportunity. But here is the key to understanding this story. Barnes did not become Edison's partner the day he arrived. He worked for years in low positions, but in his own mind, he was already a partner. He held that mental image. He believed it with absolute certainty. Years later, that partnership materialized exactly as he had visualized it. This same principle shows up again and again throughout history and throughout the lives of wealthy people. The principle is this: before you can possess something in the material world, you must first possess it completely in your mind. You must see it. You must feel it. You must believe with total certainty that it is already yours. Now let's talk about what prevents most people from using this principle. The answer is simple. Most people do not have definite desires. They want money. Everyone wants money. But wanting something vague is not the same as having a burning desire for something specific. The difference is enormous. A vague wish produces nothing. A definite, specific, emotionalized desire begins the process of creation. Think about this carefully. If you asked most people how much money they want to earn, they would say something like more than I make now, or enough to be comfortable. That is not definite. That is not specific. That will produce nothing. The first step toward accumulating riches is to become completely clear about exactly how much money you want. Write down a specific number, not a range, not a vague idea. A specific number. Tell yourself exactly how much. If you want $50,000, write that down. If you want $1 million, write that down. The reason this matters is that your subconscious mind works with specificity. It cannot move toward a target you have not clearly defined. The subconscious mind is like a high-powered computer. You must input the exact code, not an approximate idea. Once you have defined your specific monetary goal, the next step is to decide what you will give in return for that money. Because make no mistake about this, there is no such thing as something for nothing. Money is a medium of exchange. You must exchange something of value to receive money. Most people want money but have not thought about what they are willing to exchange. Are you willing to develop new skills? Are you willing to work longer hours? Are you willing to provide more value to others? You must make a decision. This decision itself becomes part of the mental architecture that attracts your desired result. The third step is to establish a specific date by which you will possess the money. This might seem unnecessary, but it is critical. A deadline creates urgency. It focuses your mind. Without a deadline, your goal remains abstract and vague. With a deadline, it becomes real and actionable. Set a date. Make it specific. The fourth step is to create a definite plan for acquiring this money. Now, here is where most people get stuck. They want the money, but they have no plan. They think the plan should come first, but it comes second. The desire comes first. The plan emerges from the desire. Your first plans might not work. That is fine. You simply create new plans. But you cannot create plans before you have a clear desire. You need the emotional energy of desire to fuel the planning process. The fifth step is to write all of this down. Write your specific amount, write the date, write your plan, write what you are willing to give in return. This act of writing crystallizes the thought. It makes it real. It transforms an invisible mental impulse into concrete form. This is not busy work. This is the transformation of abstract desire into material form. The sixth step, and this is the one that activates everything else, is to read your written statement aloud twice a day. Read it when you wake up. Read it before you go to sleep. As you read, see and feel yourself already in possession of the money. See yourself holding it. Feel the emotion of having achieved your goal. Feel the gratitude. Feel the satisfaction. This process programs your subconscious mind. It creates the mental equivalent of what you desire. And your subconscious mind will then guide you toward actions and opportunities that align with that mental picture. This process is called autosuggestion. It is the method by which you directly communicate with your subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is extremely powerful. It operates 24 hours a day. It has access to wisdom and creativity that your conscious mind does not have direct access to. But the subconscious mind is not passive. It must be given instructions. Those instructions come through autosuggestion, through repetition, through emotionalized visualization. Most people never give themselves these instructions. They leave their subconscious minds to process whatever random thoughts and fears dominate their environment. Is it any wonder they remain unsuccessful? They are essentially leaving their mental computer running without input, without direction, without purpose. Think about the power of autosuggestion in negative form. A person who believes they are destined to be poor will unconsciously make choices that keep them poor. They will avoid opportunities. They will talk themselves out of risks. They will settle for less. Their subconscious mind is faithfully following the instructions they have given it through repetition and emotionalized thought. If this same person reversed the process and repeatedly told themselves with feeling that they are becoming wealthy, their subconscious mind would guide them toward different choices, different opportunities, different possibilities. This is not a matter of hope or positive thinking. This is a matter of understanding how your mind actually works. Your mind is designed to move you toward what you believe. Your beliefs are created through repetition. The stories you tell yourself repeatedly become your beliefs, and your beliefs determine your actions, and your actions determine your results. Now let's talk about faith, because desire without faith is incomplete. Faith is not religious belief, although it can be. Faith is belief in the outcome. Faith is certainty. Faith is the conviction that you will achieve your goal before the evidence in the material world supports that conviction. This is difficult for many people because we are trained to believe only what we can see and touch and verify. But every great accomplishment in human history was achieved by someone who believed in something before it existed in the material world. The Wright brothers believed they could make a machine that flew when everyone said it was impossible. Thomas Edison believed he could create a practical electric light when all his attempts had failed thousands of times. Andrew Carnegie believed he could create an empire of steel, and he did. These people did not have blind faith. They had faith backed by purpose, by planning, by persistence, and by a clear vision. How do you develop faith? You develop it the same way you develop everything else, through practice and repetition. You develop faith by acting as though your desire is already achieved. You develop faith by repeatedly visualizing yourself in possession of your goal. You develop faith by reading your written statement aloud with emotional conviction twice every day. You develop faith by taking action toward your goal, even when you cannot yet see the result. Faith is developed through disciplined mental practice. Let's talk about another principle that is absolutely essential. It is specialized knowledge. Knowledge is necessary, but here is what most educated people do not understand. General knowledge has very little value. Everyone has access to general knowledge. If you want to accumulate riches, you need specialized knowledge related to whatever product or service you are offering. And specialized knowledge is readily available to anyone who seeks it. The problem is that most people confuse knowledge with money-making power. They think that acquiring knowledge will somehow automatically produce wealth. But knowledge alone does nothing. Knowledge must be organized and applied toward a specific goal. A university professor might have tremendous general knowledge, but may have very little money. A person with specialized knowledge in a particular business might have far less formal education, but significantly more wealth. The point is that you must acquire the specialized knowledge necessary to create value for others. If you want to become a salesman, you need specialized knowledge about what you are selling. If you want to become a manager, you need specialized knowledge about management. If you want to start a business, you need specialized knowledge about that particular business. This knowledge is available. You can obtain it through books, courses, experience, or by working with others who possess it. The key is to deliberately acquire it. Here is something essential that most people overlook. Henry Ford did not know everything about the steel business. Andrew Carnegie did not know every technical detail of steel production. But they both hired people who possessed that specialized knowledge. They built what is called a mastermind group. This is a concept we will explore more deeply, but for now, understand that you do not need to possess all knowledge yourself. You can leverage the knowledge of others through cooperation and alliance. This is one of the greatest discoveries in the history of human achievement. Let's talk about imagination, because imagination is the workshop where all plans are created. Imagination is the faculty that separates humans from the remainder of the animal kingdom. Animals have instinct. Humans have imagination. Through imagination, you can arrange existing ideas, information, and experiences into new combinations. Through imagination, you can receive hunches and inspirations that seem to come from nowhere. Imagination is the bridge between the world of thought and the world of material reality. There are two types of imagination. Synthetic imagination works by rearranging existing concepts and ideas into new combinations. This is the imagination used by most inventors and entrepreneurs. Creative imagination operates at a different level. Creative imagination seems to access information and inspiration from sources outside the conscious mind. It is the source of hunches and intuitions. It produces the seemingly random ideas that often lead to breakthrough innovations. The good news is that both types of imagination can be developed and strengthened through use. If you do not currently use your imagination, it has not died. It has simply become weak through disuse. You can revive it. You can make it powerful. You can train it to solve problems and create opportunities. Think about how imagination works in your daily life. When you make plans, you are using imagination. When you worry about the future, you are using imagination. When you dream, you are using imagination. The question is whether you are using it deliberately and purposefully, or whether you are letting it run wild with fears and worries. Directed imagination is one of the most powerful tools you possess. Let's discuss organized planning because desire and faith and imagination must be crystallized into concrete plans. A plan is the bridge between thought and action. Without a plan, desire remains abstract, but the plan itself is usually not your complete answer. Usually, you need to involve other people. You need a mastermind group. What is a mastermind group? It is a small group of people who come together with a definite purpose. The purpose is usually to solve a problem or achieve a goal. The magic of the mastermind is that when two or more minds come together in a spirit of harmony and cooperation, the combined intelligence exceeds the sum of the individual intelligences. This is not merely an arithmetic addition. This is a multiplication. Two minds working in harmony produce something greater than two minds working separately. Andrew Carnegie understood this principle. He surrounded himself with brilliant people who had specialized knowledge he did not possess. He created an environment of cooperation and shared purpose. The result was an industrial empire. Charles Schwab, one of Carnegie's lieutenants, understood this principle. He built the United States Steel Corporation, one of the largest and most successful companies in history, through the application of these principles. Now let's talk about decision because decision is the quality that separates those who accumulate wealth from those who do not. This might surprise you, but it is absolutely true. Successful people reach decisions quickly. They change them slowly. Unsuccessful people reach decisions slowly, if at all. They change them frequently. Procrastination is the enemy of success. It is the habit of waiting for the right time, the perfect circumstances, more information, or the alignment of the stars. But the right time never comes. Circumstances are never perfect. There is always more information to gather. The only way to overcome procrastination is through decision and action. Think about a decision you have been avoiding. Most people have several. That avoidance costs you money, it costs you time, it costs you opportunity. Every day you delay is a day you could have been moving toward your goal. Make a decision. Make it now. You can always adjust your course as you go, but you must begin moving. Let's talk about persistence, because persistence is what separates temporary defeat from permanent failure. Everyone experiences defeat. Everyone faces obstacles. Everyone encounters criticism and doubt. The question is whether you persist through these difficulties or whether you quit. Most people quit. That is why most people do not succeed. But those who persist, who treat defeat as temporary and simply adjust their plans, those people eventually succeed. Consider the story of a man who was mining for gold. He had invested enormous effort. He had invested money. He had invested years of his life. He found ore. He began shipping it to a smelter. The tests showed he had one of the richest mines in Colorado. He was just 3 feet away from striking the massive vein when he stopped digging. He gave up. He sold his equipment for scrap metal. Someone else bought that equipment and hired an engineer to examine the mine. The engineer determined that the vein of gold was located exactly 3 feet from where the original miners had stopped. 3 feet. That is the distance between fortune and failure. That is the power of persistence. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before creating a practical electric light bulb. He did not see these as failures. He saw them as learning experiences. He saw them as steps toward success. Every failed attempt brought him closer to the solution. His persistence in the face of repeated defeat is what created one of the most important inventions in human history. Let's talk about the mastermind principle in more depth, because it is that powerful. Every great fortune that has been accumulated with the aid of a mastermind group. The mastermind works like this. You gather a group of people who have the knowledge and abilities you lack. You meet regularly. You discuss the problem or goal. You bring all of your minds to bear on the challenge. Something magical happens. Ideas emerge that none of the individual members would have generated alone. Connections are made. Solutions present themselves. But here is the critical part. The group must operate in perfect harmony. There must be mutual respect. There must be genuine cooperation. There must be a shared commitment to the common purpose. If these conditions are not present, the mastermind does not work. It becomes just another ineffective meeting. When you are beginning to accumulate riches, your first mastermind group might be composed of just 2 or 3 people. Choose people carefully. Choose people who are not motivated by fear. Choose people who will give you honest feedback. Choose people who believe in your goal or at least respect your commitment to it. Now let's talk about something that many people find uncomfortable to discuss. It is the concept of sex transmutation. In this context, sex does not mean sexual activity. It means the sexual impulse, the powerful emotional and creative energy that drives human beings. This energy is one of the most powerful forces in human nature. The question is what you do with it. Hill discovered through his research that most successful people had learned to transmute this sexual energy into other activities. An artist channels it into creativity. An entrepreneur channels it into business. A musician channels it into music. An athlete channels it into athletic performance. The transmutation of sexual energy into purposeful activity is one of the secrets of high achievement. The person who can control this impulse and direct it toward their goals has access to enormous amounts of energy. Let's discuss the role of the subconscious mind, because understanding this will change everything. Your conscious mind is the part of your mind that you direct. It is analytical. It is critical. It asks questions. Your subconscious mind is different. It does not analyze. It does not question. It simply accepts what you feed it and works to make it real. Your subconscious mind is like a computer. Whatever instructions you give it, it follows faithfully. The subconscious mind never rests. It works 24 hours a day. It works while you sleep. It works on the problems you gave it. It works on the goals you programmed into it. It works on the fears you repeatedly told it about. This is why visualization and autosuggestion are so powerful. You are directly programming your subconscious mind. You are giving it instructions. You are telling it what to make real. The remarkable thing about the subconscious mind is that it does not distinguish between constructive and destructive thoughts. If you repeatedly tell yourself you will fail, your subconscious mind faithfully works to make you fail. If you repeatedly tell yourself you will succeed, your subconscious mind faithfully works to make you succeed. The power is the same. The only difference is the direction you are sending it. Now let's talk about what actually prevents most people from accumulating wealth. There are 30 major causes of failure that Hill identified. Let's cover the most important ones. The first is lack of a definite purpose. If you do not know exactly what you are trying to accomplish, you cannot accomplish it. This sounds obvious, but most people go through life without a clear central purpose. They are blown about by circumstances. They react rather than act. The second major cause of failure is lack of persistence. As mentioned earlier, this is why so many people fail. They do not persist long enough. They try for a while. They encounter obstacles. They quit. But if they had persisted just a little longer, they would have broken through. The third is negative personality. Some people repel others. They are critical. They are pessimistic. They blame others for their problems. No one wants to help such people. No one wants to do business with them. A positive personality, on the other hand, attracts people and opportunity. The fourth is lack of self-discipline. You must be able to control yourself before you can accomplish anything significant. You must be able to delay gratification. You must be able to follow through on commitments even when you do not feel like it. Self-discipline is a muscle. It gets stronger with use. The fifth is fear. There are 6 basic fears that operate in human nature: the fear of poverty, the fear of criticism, the fear of ill health, the fear of loss of love, the fear of old age, and the fear of death. These fears are deeply programmed into human consciousness, but they can be overcome. They are overcome through understanding. They are overcome through courage. They are overcome through facing the fear and discovering that you can survive it. Now let's talk about marketing yourself and your services, because most people, if they want to accumulate wealth, must do so by developing and marketing their abilities. The principles are the same whether you are starting a business or selling your labor. You must understand what value you provide. You must articulate that value clearly. You must present yourself in a way that stands out. Most people approach employment the wrong way. They apply for jobs. They wait to be selected. They accept whatever is offered to them. But if you understood yourself as a merchant selling your services, you would approach it differently. You would research your potential customers. You would prepare a professional presentation of your qualifications. You would demonstrate why they should hire you. You would even offer to work on probation to prove your value. You would treat yourself as a product worth marketing carefully. The most successful people treat their services like a business. They know their cost structure. They know their value proposition. They know who their ideal customer is. They know how to communicate that value. They treat themselves as an entrepreneur, not as a person hoping for a job. Let's talk about one final principle that ties everything together. It is what Hill calls the sixth sense. The sixth sense is the faculty through which hunches and intuitions come to you. It is the sudden knowing. It is the idea that appears fully formed in your mind. It is the solution that shows up in the middle of the night. The sixth sense is the door to the temple of wisdom. It is the faculty through which your mind can receive information from sources that seem to exist outside of ordinary awareness. The sixth sense can be cultivated. It can be made stronger and more reliable through the consistent application of the other principles. As you program your subconscious mind with clear purpose, as you affirm your goals repeatedly, As you maintain faith and belief, your sixth sense becomes more active. Ideas come to you. Opportunities appear. You recognize possibilities that others miss. One final thought that ties all of these principles together. Every principle in this philosophy is based on a simple truth. Your thoughts are real. They are not imaginary. They are not vague mental wandering. Your thoughts are actual forces that influence your behavior and your circumstances. When you think a thought repeatedly and with emotion, that thought creates a vibration. That vibration attracts people and circumstances that match it. This is not superstition. This is not wishful thinking. This is how your mind actually works. The person who understands and applies these principles will accumulate wealth. The timeline might be days, weeks, months, or years, but the person who faithfully applies these principles will achieve their goal. The person who does not apply them will remain as they are, waiting for luck or circumstance to change their life. You have been given a practical system. You have been given the principles that have created fortunes. You have been given the knowledge that the wealthiest and most successful people in history have used. The question now is what you will do with this knowledge. Will you read it and forget it? Will you read it and file it away? Or will you read it and apply it? The choice, as always, is yours. Thank you for listening to Litnarrate. If you enjoyed this classic tale, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more timeless literature brought to life through narration. See you in the next story.